Welcome to the Wavell Starr Show. I'm your host, the First Nation sensation, Wavell Starr, coming to you with another edition of Quarantine Talks. With us today is Thomas Benjoe. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Right now, let's get right into it, Tom. Right now, a lot of things happening, big things happening in Saskatchewan, and you are looked upon as one of the subject matter experts in terms of Indigenous economic development. Let us know what your thoughts are on how we need to go about reopening the economy.
Yeah, sure. I think, we would have heard some news today from the Premier in regards to some of the phased-in approaches that they're going to be taking to business and certain industries that are going to be, returning to work. I think, over the course of the past month or so or past few weeks in terms of, the amount of guidelines and protocols that have been put into place, I think, we're going to continue to see an expansion of that. And we've seen a lot of really unique solutions that have been brought to places like grocery stores that, have had to adjust their business model to fit some of the parameters of social distancing. And so I think, as we start looking at a phased-in approach, I think we're going to see a lot more rules around those guidelines. But, we always have to be mindful and that the virus itself, I mean, we don't actually have a vaccine yet. So, when I think about, as business leaders, we need to think about our people first, our staff and their families. And I think, if you absolutely don't have to go and be back at the office and do those things, we have, of course, the use of technology that can still continue to allow us to maintain safe social distancing and still managing through the work that we need to get done on a daily basis. So, but for those that do go back, like I said, they're going to be focused on making sure that they're doing that safely and effectively.
How do you feel the economy is going to look?
Yeah, I think, when I think about, our business and the businesses that we're invested in and are going to invest in, like, despite working through a pandemic, we're still very optimistic as a dev corp to continue growing our business and identifying new industries to partake in. And so, and we think about, the economy in general and the types of industries that we're in. I mean, we're heavily into oil and gas and in those types of industries. And of course, they're facing some pretty significant challenges as of late, beyond just the pandemic. And so, we need to start thinking about, well, how do we change and how do we shift and diversify the types of industries that we're involved with? And so, at FHQ Developments, we've been working on that shift. We're one of Saskatchewan's only dev corps that own a tech company. We own Plato SaaS Testing, and we do software testing for multiple organizations across Saskatchewan within mainly Indigenous labor force. And we're doing quite well. And so we're positioning ourselves for the next wave of opportunity, and it's going to be in technology. We see it today from people working at home. We have all sorts of infrastructure issues sometimes that people have brought forward where, they're having a tough time connecting, or they didn't have the right IT system set up to be able to support working from home. And, if this becomes a norm, well, there's going to be a lot of people turning to technology and the creation of new tools that we can use and leverage for our workspaces. And so, when I think about, a new economy is going to look like from this, what I'm looking for is those innovators. I'm looking for those innovative businesses that are looking beyond their regular business model and saying, well, how do I effectively run a new business model given the types of challenges that we have today? And so entrepreneurs are very resilient in how they change their business models. And I think, over time, we're going to see some pretty significant technological advancements come from this time. And, the next thing we need to start discussing, and it's something that we're thinking about as a DevCorp is, well, how do we train our people to be ready for those opportunities? And so our business models are a mix of making sure that we're training and developing our own Indigenous talent, and taking a big step forward into industries where Indigenous business typically isn't situated. So we're excited about that.
Right. Very, very important work, Tom. Just to change gears a little bit, you're also known for being one of the lead organizers on the powwow committee for the First Nations University of Canada Spring Powwow. Unfortunately, we had to make some rescheduling arrangements for this year. Can you give us a little bit of an update as to the status of First Nations University Powwow?
Yeah, so we had to postpone. We did postpone for a date in the fall, but under the current circumstances, if things change, if rules don't change accordingly, and we can't host large events, then we may have to make further decisions to put the powwow off to another date and time. But we operate as a committee, we make a decision as a committee, and we highly value our elders' knowledge and advice. And so, if we have to make a decision again to make changes to powwow, then we'll get the advice of our elder and our committee. We're all very dedicated volunteers. So but we hope to be able to host at some point, but the health and safety of our guests is top of mind.
Right. So it was just announced today that the Calgary Stampede is going to be canceled, I believe, for the first time in a century. And that's pretty huge because, in Calgary, that Stampede is really a large part of their heritage and a part of their local culture, and definitely different times. Do you think that there's a chance that we may be powwowing this summer?
Given if we look at the phased-in approach that was discussed today, in terms of limits on how many people can gather in some of the further phases, which is quite a considerable amount of time away, we might not have that opportunity. But I know this just speaks to the innovation of our people wanting to celebrate powwow and share their gifts and their talents. And I think there's quite a few people that are logged on to the quarantine dance specials. So it's been really entertaining to watch and see a lot of old friends and family participating in some of those specials online. So it's pretty neat.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot, Tom, for agreeing to be with us on this exciting day in Saskatchewan history. And with that, I'll turn the last word over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I just want everyone to stay safe and, continue doing what you need to do to protect your families and your loved ones. And, we'll eventually get to see each other again and celebrate with one another. So look forward to that day.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. In the meantime and in between time, as long as it's quarantine time, you'll be hearing from me, the First Nation sensation. Thanks for watching. Take care.